Hey, this is Frank Nieto with Vision Quest Auto, and today I'm here with my son,
Holden Nieto,
and we're reviewing the 2025 Volvo XC60 plug-in hybrid T8, and it's Polestar Engineered. That's a lot of words. What that really comes down to is this is the very popular XC60, and it's the plug-in hybrid version. T8 means it's got the most powerful engine, so it's got about 450 horsepower. Polestar Engineered, which means it's sporty. That's what all those words kind of mean there. So we're going to take you around this car. We're going to tell you all about it, tell you what we like, what we don't like, what could be improved upon. Really, I think it's more about that because I think we really like this car. Spoiler. And we're going to take you driving impressions, and we'll break it down into some categories. So let's get to it. Here we are with the Volvo XC60 plug-in hybrid T8 all-wheel drive. So this is the top of the line XC60, and as you can tell, Volvo has kept that shape because, honestly, it's been a popular car a lot of ways, one of the trendsetters for the luxury SUV class. And if it's not broken, don't fix it. One of the things that has changed over the years has been that distinctive Thor's hammer turn signal on the headlights, which is a nice touch. The Volvo logo's gotten a little bit bigger. I like it. I like how they bring the line over it. Polestar Engineered badge. Some people might like it, some people don't. I like it. Holden isn't a big fan. The cool things around here is the tires. You can tell, it's Polestar Engineered. You've got those gold brake calipers. You've also got the gold tire cap, which is a really nice touch. I just like it. Love the rims. They're super, super cool. And honestly, this is a sporty SUV, but I think a lot of people would not think of Volvo initially when you're thinking of a sporty SUV. But I mean, this drives really nice. We'll get into that, but it's really athletic. And, the looks are sharp. Like, this is definitely a sports SUV with these looks. This is where you get your plug-in hybrid. This is your electric charge port. Pretty standard. You'll be getting... Nice thing about it, though, is you may not actually even need to use this because you get about 35 or so all-electric range. But the nice thing is that you can actually charge this, but you can charge this car as you're driving. You'll charge the electric motor, and you can kind of pocket it, have it there for takeoffs and just to switch around. So it's a nice touch. Classic Volvo shape. This also, nice touch. Look at that. It's, if you can see, you'll see that this actually defrosts a little bit too. That's pretty nice. That's a unique feature. The tail lights are also very much in that Volvo tradition. They haven't moved too much from it. A little bit of different design, but not too much. Polestar Engineered on the back as well. I'm sorry if this is a little bit, you can see the pollen because, it's pollen season down here. What are you going to do? No matter how many times you clean this, it'll still get there. Really good amount of space for a compact SUV. You get even more, obviously, when you drop those seats down, but really a good amount of space. I've also got this nice netting here to keep things separate. I like that. Nice touch. You got the pass-through right in the center there, so you can get longer pieces, like some wood, put it right through while you're still using the back seats. Very helpful. Also, Volvo does nice things like this. You've got your 12-volt outlet in the back, which is a nice touch. You've also got, a little bit under storage, not too much because you've got your chargers down here. Here's where your gas is at. There is a button that unlocks this. So much like a couple of other cars that we've had here, you'll actually need to push the button, unlock it. Mazda had that as well, and then you'll hear like a and then it pops, and then it's ready to pop open. So, not my favorite thing, but it is what it is. It's not awful either. This is impressive. That's a lot of space. So if you need to do any work on your Volvo, man, they give you a lot of space. And here's your engine. It's a 2-liter turbocharged direct inject engine, with an electric motor. As you would expect, it's plug-in hybrid. So it gets a combined 455 horsepower and 523 pound-feet of torque. So that horsepower comes from 312 horses from the engine and then 143 horses from the motor. So that's a really good amount of power that you get out of this bad boy. It takes off really, really fast when you put your foot down on the gas, and then when it sends you. But once it sends you, man, it's going. And over here, this is kind of a neat little touch. You can adjust the dampers. This is the Polestar Engineered Öhlins adjuster. So you just turn this and you can adjust your dampers, which is pretty nice, you know, on both sides over there. Nice touch. I don't know how many people are really going to do that, but it's pretty cool that you can do it. And again, that you've got all this room to do it with. So nice touch, Volvo. We're going to take you into the car, but before, I want to show you a little bit of the space here. Decent amount of space here, you know, good amount of space here in the back seat. One thing that's cool about the Polestar Engineered Volvos is that you get the gold/yellow seat belts. Really nice touch. They stand out in a nice way. Yeah, good amount of room. Is it spacious for you, Holt?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty spacious. No. Here, why don't you get in and show everybody how it fits in there? The H.A. Brown Super Bowl champ jersey. Yeah, look at that. Good amount of space, comfy, and that's even with that front seat back pretty far. So nice job. All right, I'm gonna take you around, and then I'll get in the front. You know, here we go. Decent. I mean, these are nice sports bolsters. Yeah, really nice. We'll talk about this in a second, but I love that shifter. Really classy looking car. Really comfortable. Steering wheel has a great feel, very hefty, great build quality feel to it. Love that. You got the Volvo logo here. One thing I really love that I mentioned before is you've got this crystal shifter. And I believe Volvo was the first ones, or at least the first mainstream manufacturer, to come out with a crystal shifter. BMW has since done it. One thing I want to mention is this thing somehow or another is engineered so well, you will not burn your hand on this one. Cannot say the same for the BMW. I had the initial X7 with a crystal shifter, and I burned the crap out of my hand one day. It was like Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, where I put my hand on the shifter. It was really hot out, and I was just like, ah! It was really, really hurt. So Volvo does not have that happen. Great touch. You know, classy looking car. One thing that's really cool, that if you have a gate in your community or at your work or anything else, you can actually pop this, your entry sticker, into this little holder. Volvo is the only one that I know that does this. And I have issues when I try to get into my community because you know, I'm always using this, and I'll hold it up to the window, and you know, sometimes you have to find where you can hold it to. It's really nice that you do that. You don't have to hold it, you just drive up to the gate, it opens up. Nice touch. Again, it's not something that everybody's going to be using, but it's cool that they do it. I really appreciate that. You've got this, it does have a head-up display. Of course, you can't see it, but you can see your map down here, which is a cool thing. Bit of a controversial infotainment system. So, as you can see, it says Apple CarPlay. There is no Android Auto, and that is our John Cena You Can't See Me award winner. But it's not awful because it does have Google built in. Volvo was the first auto manufacturer, or really Polestar, Volvo's electric subsidiary, was the first auto manufacturer to use Google built in. And what that means is that it essentially has Android in here, but it's inside the system, so you don't need your phone. So you can actually run all the stuff once you're wired in to, once you log in with your Google account. Now, if you own the car, that's not a bad thing. If you're test driving it, you're gonna wanna make sure you sign out, because otherwise, something like my buddy Carter, who had this before me, I actually could see his credentials, so don't do that. All right, but yeah, once you log in, you get all your, you know, you can get all your different apps through the Play Store. You can download a whole bunch of different stuff. So it's a nice touch. You know, you can have YouTube running while you're charging or just sitting around. You got maps in here, Waze, Prime Video. I believe Netflix is in here as well, not 100%, but you know, it pretty much has what you'd need. So it's pretty easy to use. One thing that's nice is I'll show you this when you go to Sirius XM. It'll load some channels. So here we go. Hopefully it doesn't play, so we don't, yeah, there we go. So it's got a giant screen. So when you use Apple CarPlay, And when I used to have an Apple, I would have this. When I used to have an iPhone, I would have this issue. This screen shrinks a little bit down, so it doesn't take it up the whole way that it does with the native apps that are built in here. So that's something where Android users get a little bit of a benefit, even though it's not Android Auto in the car. So you do have that. But a very nice system once you get used to it. It is not a system that everybody's going to love. So, you know, be aware of that. I do like this button where you can basically pop to this center thing and it has your last 4 apps there. So that's kind of nice. You can get your cameras here. The cameras work really nice. So one thing I'm not a big fan of with the camera system is the backup camera. See, this is what you get when you get like Apple CarPlay going. It takes up half the screen, but you can do this. There's your 360 camera, which is pretty cool. You can also click and see different ones. So that's a nice touch. There's your rear and there's your front. So it's a really cool feature once you get used to it. And I think that's where a lot of this comes into. Once you get used to this system, it's good. Again, your heated seat, heated steering wheel, you click on here. I think I'm not a big fan of this. It's kind of harder to change your settings because you're clicking. See, it goes by 2s. So you can't, if you want 67, it's not going to happen. I don't know why you'd want exactly 67, but if you wanted exactly 67, it's not going to happen. You got to have 66 or 68. So, I mean, you know, if you're that kind of a person, I don't know, you're weird. So, another cool thing, interesting thing is it doesn't have a stop start button as it has a switch. So you turn this, turn it on and off. Kind of a neat little thing. Cup holders are pretty small. Not the biggest. I think you can fit a Stanley in, but it's really tight. So that's a knock on there. I'm not a big fan of that. Also got this, which, you know, I don't know what you're gonna do with this. And it's. I mean, you know, you can put your change there, I guess. It does not have a wireless charging pad. That's unfortunate. You know, but yeah, I think that this is a nice car. There's not really anything negative I have to say about the interior. The sunroof controls are kind of cool. They're like kind of touch button. So like that, you slide it and you can stop, slide it back. You have to be very gentle when you, so you can vent it there. It's all kind of, it takes a little bit of a touch to get used to get the shade down and stuff, but it's pretty nice. Pretty quiet ride, very athletic ride. However, it's not as athletic as BMW, as you would find in a BMW X5, for example. It's not as soft a ride or as quiet a ride as you would find in a Lexus or a Mercedes. But it's more athletic than a Lexus or Mercedes, and it's softer and quieter than a BMW. So you get a little bit of the best of all worlds with this car. It is, you know, an athletic version of this. Now, I do think that when you get the regular XC60, you will have a quieter, softer ride. So that would be more comparable to a Lexus, and you'd have, you know, it wouldn't compare as favorably to a BMW as the Polestar Engineered T8. This stays on point. You know, the steering is on point. You know, it goes right where you want to. The turning radius is really solid. Maybe not Lexus Toyota turning radius levels, but really solid. You know, the handling isn't quite BMW, but it compares pretty favorably. And I think that if you adjust the dampers, you might have a different experience as well. Bear in mind though, with this car, there's more tech because it's plug-in hybrid, so there's extra parts and pieces. So you're gonna have, you know, not just an engine to worry about, but a motor. That's the one bad thing that you get when you go with a plug-in hybrid. So again, you know, some people will like that, some people won't. Just bear that in mind. Brakes, they're solid, but they could be stronger. I think it's just this car has so much power that sometimes the brakes, they're responsive. You don't have any worry about going past where you're going, but they're just not quite as grabby as you would expect, which is kind of surprising considering this is a hybrid. I would have expected more of that regen feel. They're not quite as grabby. They actually take a, you know, maybe a split second to really take hold. So here we go. Okay, nobody's around, so we're gonna see. There, it picks up quick. It picks up really quick, but the motor does kick in. It just kicks in a second later. I'll do it again. There you hear it, and it revs, sounds pretty impressive, really revs up nice. The Volvo XC60 kind of meets you wherever you want to go. This particular model is the top of the line, and it's pretty pricey. It's $77,000. That's a lot of money for a compact SUV. But when you look at, you're getting a sports version of this, it kind of makes a little bit more sense. You know, it's kind of comparable to a, you know, BMW M Series kind of SUV. So if you're looking at it from that point of view, the price makes a little bit more sense. Actually comes in somewhat lower than the BMW. And you can also get this with the base model at $55,000 or so. So it matches up pretty well. So that concludes our review for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you found it useful, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us right there in the comments on YouTube, or reach out to us on X under our handle Vision Quest A. So for Vision Quest Auto, this is Frank Nieto, and
Holden Nieto.
And we'll see you around.